Americans have gained a reputation worldwide that isn't exactly positive, and the reasons behind this growing dislike are becoming clearer each year. Many people across different countries share similar complaints about American behavior, attitudes, and influence on global culture. The relationship between Americans and the rest of the world has changed a lot in recent decades. While American movies, music, and products remain popular globally, there's a rising tide of criticism about American attitudes and actions. This criticism comes from both wealthy and developing nations, suggesting a pattern that goes beyond simple cultural differences. Loud public behavior. Walking through tourist spots in any major city, you'll often spot American travelers before hearing them. Their naturally louder speaking volume stands out in cultures where quiet conversation is the norm. Many locals find this unsettling in peaceful places like museums, restaurants, and public transport. The constant need to be heard above others creates tension in shared spaces, leading to frequent conflicts between tourists and residents. Cultural ignorance. American visitors often show little interest in learning basic customs or phrases of the countries they visit. They assume everyone speaks English and get frustrated when locals don't understand them. This behavior comes across as lazy and disrespectful, especially when they make no effort to adapt to local traditions or social rules. Their unwillingness to research or understand local customs before traveling creates lasting negative impressions on host communities. Political interference. American government involvement in other countries' affairs creates deep-seated resentment among local populations. Military actions, economic pressure, and political influence often feel heavy-handed to those affected. These interventions frequently lead to long-term problems that affect regional stability and daily life. The lasting impact of such interference continues to shape negative opinions of Americans long after the initial events. Environmental impact. Americans use more resources per person than most other nationalities, setting an unsustainable example. Their high-consumption lifestyle influences developing countries to adopt similarly wasteful practices. The American resistance to environmental protection efforts frustrates nations already dealing with climate change effects. This behavior pattern shows little consideration for global environmental consequences or future generations. Social media dominance. American social media platforms increasingly control global conversations and cultural trends. Local voices get drowned out by American perspectives and values on these dominant platforms. This digital colonialism affects everything from fashion to political discourse, making many feel their own culture is being erased. The algorithmic preference for American content further marginalizes local perspectives and traditional communication methods. Fast food culture export. The spread of American fast food chains has changed eating habits worldwide. Local food businesses struggle to compete with these big chains, leading to the loss of traditional restaurants and food culture. The standardization of food options has led to the disappearance of unique local ingredients and cooking methods. This cultural shift has contributed to rising obesity rates and health problems in countries that previously had healthier eating habits. Tipping culture spread. The American practice of tipping has begun influencing service industries worldwide. This creates confusion and pressure in countries with different wage systems and cultural norms. Workers in other nations now sometimes expect tips like in America, disrupting established local service customs. The spread of tipping culture often leads to awkward social situations and increased costs for both locals and visitors. Consumer behavior. Shopping habits in America influence global retail trends in increasingly problematic ways. The push for constant sales, Black Friday events, and excessive consumption has spread to other countries, disrupting traditional shopping patterns. Local businesses struggle to compete with this aggressive marketing approach and often close down. The emphasis on quantity over quality has changed how people worldwide view material possessions. Healthcare system export. Other countries worry deeply about the influence of the American healthcare model on their own systems. The idea of profit-driven healthcare scares people used to universal healthcare systems. Many see American healthcare as a warning of what could happen if their own systems change. The fear of losing affordable healthcare access creates resistance to any American-style healthcare reforms. Educational competition. American universities attract students worldwide, but their high costs create significant problems for global education. This brain drain affects developing countries when talented students stay in America after graduating. The American education model influences other countries to raise their prices and adopt similar costly practices. Local educational institutions struggle to maintain their unique approaches while competing with American standards. Work culture impact. The American approach to work-life balance spreads through international companies like a concerning trend. People in other countries face increased pressure to work longer hours and take fewer vacations. This conflicts with cultures that traditionally value family time and relaxation over career advancement. The resulting stress and burnout lead to growing resentment of American business practices. Entertainment industry influence. Hollywood movies and TV shows flood global media markets with unprecedented force. Local entertainment industries struggle to compete with big-budget American productions, leading to reduced cultural diversity. Young generations often know more about American culture than their own traditions. The dominance of American entertainment creates a one-sided view of global culture and history. Financial market power. American economic decisions affect people worldwide with often devastating consequences. When the American economy experiences problems, other countries suffer disproportionate effects. This power over global markets creates constant stress and uncertainty in distant nations. Local economies struggle to maintain independence from American financial influences. Technology dependence. Most countries rely heavily on American tech companies for essential services and infrastructure. This dependence on American software, hardware, and platforms creates serious security concerns. Many worry about data privacy and digital sovereignty in their national operations. The lack of viable local alternatives makes it difficult to escape this technological colonialism. Food standards export. American food production methods increasingly dominate global agriculture practices. The push for modified crops and industrial farming affects traditional farming communities and their livelihoods. This changes local food systems and raises significant health concerns among populations. Traditional farming methods and crop varieties disappear as American agricultural standards become the norm. Language dominance. English words increasingly replace local terms in many languages around the world. Young people mix English into daily conversation, causing concern among traditional language speakers. This linguistic influence feels like cultural erosion to many people trying to preserve their heritage. Local languages struggle to develop modern terminology without borrowing from English. Military presence. American military bases exist in many countries worldwide, creating complex social dynamics. Local communities often resent these facilities and the problems they bring to their neighborhoods. The bases serve as constant reminders of American global power and influence. Their presence affects local property values and community development plans. Corporate influence. Big American companies change local business landscapes with unprecedented speed. Small shops close when American chains arrive, destroying neighborhood character and community bonds. This affects economic independence and traditional business practices in profound ways. Local entrepreneurs struggle to compete with the financial power of American corporations. News media impact. American news organizations shape global news coverage according to their perspectives. Local stories get ignored unless they interest American audiences or align with American priorities. This creates a skewed view of world events and international relationships. Important regional issues often go unreported in favor of American-centric news. Sports culture export. American sports like basketball gain popularity over traditional games in many countries. Local sports struggle to maintain viewership and funding against this powerful influence. This affects cultural identity and community traditions built around local athletics. Traditional sports festivals and competitions lose participants and spectators to American-style sporting events. Fashion industry control. American fashion trends influence global style choices, with increasing authority. Traditional clothing and local designs become less popular among younger generations. This standardization of fashion affects cultural expression and traditional craftsmanship. Local textile industries struggle to compete with American-influenced fast fashion. Tourism behavior. American tourism changes local destinations in fundamental and often irreversible ways. Places adapt to American preferences and spending habits, losing their authentic character. This often prices out local residents and changes community dynamics permanently. Traditional activities and customs get commercialized to appeal to American tourists. Religious influence. American religious groups spread their beliefs worldwide with significant cultural impact. This creates tension in places with different spiritual traditions and practices. Local religious practices sometimes get labeled as backward or strange by American standards. Traditional spiritual leaders struggle to maintain their influence against well-funded American religious organizations. Academic standards impact. American research standards become mandatory requirements in global academia. Scholars worldwide must publish in English and follow American formats to gain recognition. This disadvantages researchers from other backgrounds and linguistic traditions. Local research methodologies and traditional knowledge systems get overlooked in favor of American approaches. Music industry dominance. American music gets more promotion and airplay globally than local artists. Local musicians struggle to compete with American marketing power and production values. Traditional music styles face difficulties attracting younger audiences and securing funding. The commercialization of music according to American standards affects artistic expression and cultural preservation.